A lot of small restaurant owners fall into the trap of assuming that if an item is profitable, then customers will naturally find it. But in reality, that's almost never true. In today's video, I want to explain why profitable menu items don't sell themselves and how menu engineering actually works, not from a design standpoint, but from a customer and diner psychology standpoint. Let's get into the video. Now, when I do restaurant consulting, a lot of times the first thing that I'll ask for is a copy of the menu. And about 8 or 9 times out of 10, I'll see the same thing. Most menus are built like catalogs. They list items, they list prices, they assume customers will compare each menu item rationally and logically. But the reality is that customers don't read menus the way owners write them. They scan, they shortcut, they default. Your menu is not a list, it's a decision funnel for the customer. Okay, here's why profitable items often get ignored. So, I'm going to say an uncomfortable truth here. A lot of times, high margin items are often buried, they're poorly framed, they're visually equal to low margin items, or they're surrounded by better sounding options on your menu. The reality is that profitability does not influence customers. They don't care how much profit you actually make on a specific item. What matters to them is perception. If an item doesn't feel like the right choice, then it won't be chosen, no matter how good or bad the profit margin on the item actually is. Okay, so let's discuss 5 principles that should guide your menu design. Principle number 1, anchors shape everything. So we're going to start with what an anchor is. So an anchor is the first price or the first item that people see on your menu. And that first anchor item sets expectations. Once an anchor is established, then everything else on that menu is judged relative to that anchor item. So, for example, think about a $70 steak on the menu. That expensive item is not there to sell out every single time, unless, of course, you're a steakhouse. Most of the time, that expensive item only exists to make other items feel reasonable or to shift the value perception of a higher profit margin item or to reframe mid-tier choices. Anchors don't have to sell. They just have to reposition the pricing in the mind of the diner. Principle number 2, decoys direct choice. Decoys are items designed to guide customers away from themselves. So the decoy in this instance is maybe a slightly worse value item. Maybe it's something that's a little less appealing than other items. Or maybe it's just a little less efficient to prepare for the kitchen staff. The decoy's job is to make the target item feel like the smarter choice to the customer. When this is done well, customers feel like they've actually decided, like they've made the smart choice. They don't feel like they were pushed or forced into making a choice that they really didn't want to make. Principle number 3 is that visual hierarchy matters a lot more than words. So menus don't fail because of descriptions. They fail because of layout. Customers pay a lot of attention to things like position, spacing, grouping, visual weight. If your profitable items are not visually prioritized, then they don't exist in the mind of the customer. Equal treatment on a menu is not neutral, it's just inefficient. Principle number 4 is that servers influence order flow a lot more than menus ever can. So here's something that menu engineering software doesn't tell you. Servers actually shape customer demand in real time. Customers pay attention to what the server mentions first, what the server recommends confidently. That's what is actually moving your product. That's what's actually directing people toward the higher margin items. If your most profitable items aren't easy for your servers to talk about, then they naturally won't talk about them. Menu engineering without proper server alignment, it actually breaks down on the floor. Principle number 5 is that poor menu design pushes customers the wrong way. So, a lot of menus accidentally guide customers toward lower margin comfort items or labor intensive dishes or inconsistent performers. Not because customers necessarily want them, but because the menu makes them easier to choose than higher margin items. When everything looks equally important, customers naturally default to familiarity. They default to what feels natural, what feels comfortable and easy to choose. Now, those choices are rarely your most profitable item. All right, so let's discuss 4 simple menu tweaks that can increase contribution to your bottom line. This doesn't require a full menu redesign. Small changes matter. Small changes really start to add up here. Number 1, you want to reduce choice overload. Now, what do we mean? Well, too many options flatten perception. Fewer, clearer groupings, well, they improve decision confidence. Number 2, you want to reframe your profitable items. You want to change where they live, not what they are. Position on the menu matters a lot more than the adjectives used to describe them. Number 3, you want to design for flow, not fairness. Menus don't need to be fair. They need to gently guide and steer the customer in the direction that you want them to go. Number 4, you need to align your server language. If a server can't naturally recommend a specific menu item, then it won't sell. Scripts beat descriptions every single time. Now, this matters a lot more when costs start to rise, just as we're seeing in this economy. See, when food costs rise, then margins shrink. When margins shrink, then every decision matters more. Menu engineering is not about manipulation, it's about clarity. You're helping customers to choose what they want, but doing so in a confident manner while also protecting your business, protecting your bottom line. So it's important to reframe menu engineering. The goal of menu engineering is not to trick people, it's really to reduce friction. It helps increase guest confidence. It helps to guide attention. Profitable items don't sell themselves, they need help, and it's your job to provide the help that they need. Now, it's important to remember that most restaurants redesign menus to look better, but very few redesign menus to sell better. We talk about this in issue 1 of our magazine, Restaurant Marketing Monthly, in the article, The Menu Makeover: Why Design Sells Before the Server Does. In that article, we explore how menu structure, not aesthetics, drives ordering behavior, and why profitable restaurants treat menus as sales tools, not as mere decoration. If you want to check out the article, you can do so by subscribing to our magazine. A link will be in the description below. Before we close, it's important to keep in mind that your menu is one of the few tools that you control completely. If it's not guiding customers toward profitable decisions, then it's actually working against you. Remember, in the post-pandemic economy, having good food just isn't good enough anymore. And if no one walks in the front door of your restaurant, then nothing else matters. I'm Donovan Garrett. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.